Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Starkey Farmstead. We hope that you enjoy this video. It's all going to be about setting up a new worm bed. We're going to discuss topics like, what do you put on the bottom? What is bedding? What is food? Can you put citrus, onion, garlic? What do you do about plastics that are inevitably find their way into your bin? What do you do about population? How do you feed them? How do you keep them healthy? We're going to show you all of that. And we have Pawpaw Sammy here to do most of the explaining for you. So we hope that you enjoy this video, that we give you the knowledge and the wisdom that you need to start your journey with your red wigglers.
Cardboard, which was on the top of the bin before we cleaned it, is partially ate and deteriorated. So now it goes back on the bottom. That goes back in there. That's worm food, and they love it.
They do love it. I use mine too because your worms will leave like, I guess they call like the worm casting liquid, the leachette or leachette. I'm not really sure how you say it, guys. Sorry about that. But anyway, they add a lot of worms bins. Like if you put them in like that green one over there, what it's going to do is all that liquid is going to run out the bottom. What we do here is we let the cardboard absorb it, and then this is their bedding, but like I said before, it is also their food. We said that in the video that you'll see attached to this one, which is step 2, running your beds. We discuss what is bedding for your red wigglers. Guys, Daddy, should they ever put soil in their beds?
No. They make their own leaves, your grass clippings, your food out of your kitchen, newspapers, cardboard, they make their own.
Yes, they take...
As long as it's damp. Don't throw them on wet, on dry cardboard or leaves, they'll die. They'll shrink up and die right there.
Yeah, so you guys can already see, because this came off the top, we keep it damp on top, so now on bottom it's perfect.
See, it's wet in spots, look.
Yeah. Now tell them what they do inside this corrugated air stuff right here.
They'll crawl up inside these corrugations and lay eggs, and as it deteriorates, the eggs hatch. And they say worms does not like light.
That's
if
right.
you put light on the worms, they go. You'll come back and find them on the floor dead trying to escape.
Now what he's dumping back in here, when we ran our beds, this is what was not quite ready, all right? So this is what came out of our tumbler. Like I said, you're gonna occasionally find little bits of plastic, depending on what you're putting in your beds. If you're using a lot of shredded paper and stuff, you just pick that out. Just takes you a second.
Now the trick is, this is all leaves, grass clippings, hay, and sticks. See? But all this is where the worms will get right back in here. In fact, they're in here. If you look at the worms, they're all up in here. They're hard to see on the color, but they're in there. See, everywhere you look is worms.
So this is how we start our beds back up. So it is a process. It is a curing process.
We just dumped this back in the bed. This is what we kept out of the bed.
Look at the difference of that. That's beautiful. So these are finished worm castings, are vermicompost.
No odor at all. Smells like clean, fresh dirt.
That's right. So we're going to set up our beds. Let us spread this out, and we'll show you what we're going to do next.
Cold manure.
What's a cold manure, Pawpaw Sammy?
Cold rabbit or goat. You can put it straight on your plants, it won't burn them. Chicken, horses, cows, dogs, cats, people, it will burn them.
That's right. So
Now
this is...
Soldier fly, rabbit manure full of worms.
That's right. Now you're going to see...
Look at the worms wiggling.
Yeah. All right, so this right here is what we're talking about. This is a soldier fly larvae. They are composting larvae, all right? Your chickens will love you. Your quail will love you. All they're gonna do is turn into a fly, guys. And the flies don't bite. They don't bother you. They're black soldier flies. And if you have rabbits and your rabbit manure is kind of moist for whatever reason, the water system, rainwater, whatever, you're gonna find that you've got black soldier larvae in them. So what we do is we layer, you see? We put our, all right, so what we did, we started with the cardboard on the bottom. Then we layered it with the leaves and stuff that they had not fully broken down. We layered that. Dad made sure it's all moist. Look, nothing's wet, but nothing is dry. Then we came through and we're gonna layer it with this manure. Not a ton of it, but enough. This is food in itself, guys.
It sure is.
This will jumpstart your worm bin. If you're worried, you're like, I don't know how to get them going, but this is how you start them. Rabbit manure.
There's corn, rice, and wheat. It's just a powder. You run it through, just powder it up in a blender. It don't take much because it's a really concentrated protein and what have you. You got oatmeal, grits, wheat, and oh yeah, rice bran.
So rice bran, wheat, oatmeal, grits.
Yeah, it's just a little kick vitamins to kick it.
Yeah, and look, it's powder form. He's powdered it. So these little bitty worms with these teeny tiny mouths and no teeth can absorb this really quick. Hey, look at the worm.
Yeah, look at him.
Yeah, so this is how, so we're gonna do that. Now, we're gonna show you what the next step to our layering and setting up our new beds looks like.
You do not just pour water in there. It'll make a big clump and it will never decay. Take them worms 100 years to eat it. You mix leaves, anything, pine straw, leaves, it doesn't matter. And pine straw, once it decays, is not acidic. It goes back to a neutral pH. That way, when you mix the water, the paper don't clump up, and your worms have a chance to get to it and eat it.
Hey, did you want to put a little water?
It won't hurt it that way.
And then Dad adds us a little bit of water. It's gonna, that way it's moist. What we tell y'all, the word of the day is moist.
Dry or light, they don't.
So everything that we put in our worm bins come from our yard except for the paper and the cardboard, obviously. So I can control the inputs that go into this bed. That's how I know how high the nutrition is. We will be getting that tested soon too, because I'm curious, since our vegetables are grown to be nutrient dense. We're always aiming at not just organic, but regenerative, nutrient dense, and sustainable, closed loop systems. You hear all those buzzwords. This is the first step in creating all those systems that we are all striving for. If you're watching these videos, you want to be able to grow the best food for your family. You want to do it sustainable. Guys, this is how you do it. Look, see how low the bin is still? Way down here. We had to keep layering until we get it up to here. Then it takes about 3 months and the worms will eat all of this into the most beautiful and leave their castings behind, the most beautiful castings that you can purchase. Because we don't dry our castings. The biology, the fungi, they're all alive in this bed. So when we take it out of the bed, we run it, we put it in the soil, we bring that same bacteria, the good bacteria, we bring those good fungi back to our garden, turning our dirt into living soil. But if you dry it, if you heat it, you're going to kill the majority of the reasons and the things in it. Let me put it this way, if you're going to dry your castings, like I've seen people suggest you do, if you do that, what's going to happen, Dad?
You're going to kill them out. You're going to kill all the good stuff in it.
You're going to kill all the good stuff.
That's right.
You're going to kill it. So then
the bacteria will be dead.
Right. So then you just putting, some really pretty castings on your garden thinking you've done something great. But if you purchase those castings from a company that dries it prior to selling it to you, all you're doing is putting some material in your garden that will break down, that other earthworms will eat, and will make your soil absorb water better and amend it to for the texture of your soil. But you did nothing for your good bacteria or your fungi levels in that soil. You cannot heat it up, guys. Heat kills. Okay.
I would guess there's over a pound of worms here. Easy, maybe 2. Put it down in there. Bring it up. Flush. I hope for a second. Oh yeah, what's that?
That's just food. I just ground up eggshells.
Okay, and you put you a little bit of food in.
And that is just vegetables, guys. Organically grown vegetables from our garden. But it is also, to be very honest, eggshells from our chickens. So I know how healthy my animals are. So what's going to happen is the worms are going to move into those cups to eat that food, because my dad taught me this. Because as I was selling castings, which Starkey Farm still sells them, and so does Pawpaw Sammy, we sell worm castings to a lot of people. I was losing pounds of worms every time I ran my bins. My dad's like, you got to do something, Pumpkin, you're losing your stock. So it's okay if I leave some eggs and stuff in here for you guys. We want you to be able to start your own worm bin from literally the castings that you purchase from me or my father will have eggs in it, and you can take a handful or two out of those castings and put them into this worm bin. It'll inoculate it with the correct bacteria and fungi, but it will also start your bed off for you. You might need to get a pound or two, or it'll start to rot in there, but we'll actually make sure you have worms and eggs in what you purchase from us. Now, what you just saw my dad sprinkle is a mixture of potato peelings, cucumbers, squash, tomatoes, a little bit of bell pepper, and eggshells. I ground that up in a bullet blender, and we dump it in here. Like I said, we're setting these beds up, so we want to make sure we have lots and lots of food. When the worms realize that the moisture, the temperature, and the food and the bedding is correct, then what they will do is begin to breed. They'll grow rapidly. Red wigglers are amazing composting worms, but don't forget, I told you we have black soldier larvae, not a ton. They come in with the manure out of my barn in here too, and they eat so much, y'all. They eat so much. So you have to make sure you have enough for both species as they're breaking all of this down.
What happens, they'll go into that cup. The big worms that's in here, they'll be in there tomorrow eating. You dump them back in the bin. You leave that in there until you sell it. Maybe a week, 10 days, 2 months, whatever. That cup, as the eggs hatch, they'll go to eat and put them back in the bin. So you're actually recycling your worms.
Yes.
And it pays off. I'm talking about you looking over 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds of worms right here.
And with the cost of everything nowadays, guys, you have to start working smarter, not harder. Make your product stretch.
That's right. The end product is what counts. This just keeps the light out of the bin.
Yeah, it keeps some moisture in it too, guys.
Yeah, in the light, but they don't like light. They'll leave that bin and leave with light.
Guys, please do not put on little proteins and stuff.
And these potato peelings, put them in there. Come back in about 3 or 4 or 5 days and pull the cover off, and you'll have roots and little potatoes.
Yeah.
Plant them in your garden. That's how I plant mine.
So you don't, like you always see people ask, how do I start potatoes? How do I start sweet potato slips? Well, if you have a worm bin, this is how you start it.
Stick a sweet potato in there.
All right, so now we have coffee grounds, we have shredded paper, we have leaves, we have the worm food that my dad created, we have blended up vegetables and eggshells. Now my dad's adding a top layer of cardboard. This is simply a light barrier and a moisture retainer, okay? It eventually will be food. Now, Dad, people are going to want to know, can they use stuff?
That's not a good idea. It's not really good. It won't hurt. They'll eat this and leave that.
Yeah.
And it's going to be mixed into your bed.
Okay, so do we want to use a different type?
I would take it out.
All right, so yeah, let's take that out. And that's, look, guys, like I told you before, we're always self-correcting, all right? That's what makes you successful in life, is self-correcting. Now, see my dad, because I didn't prep all this before he got here like I said I would.
That's tape. You definitely don't want that in.
No, you already saw when we were running the beds how we talked about tape is plastic. This plastic tape is going to get back into the beds. If you leave one piece on there, you're going to find it floating around, because they'll eat every bit of cardboard off of it.
And just all you'll have is the cardboard. You have the paper.
Yeah, the plastic. Just like floating around in your bed, it'll drive you nuts trying to get it out of there. But this is how we do our beds. We're demonstrating how to set them up. I will double the material in this bed this evening before I go to bed. It's just that we wanted to get a video and show you guys what it should look like when you're done. Like, how should your worm bed be set up? What should you put in it? Daddy, what are the only 2 things they cannot put in a worm bed?
Bones, meat, and dairy products.
All right.
Like as per milk, cheese. It will finally dissolve and go away, but
It stinks, doesn't it?
it don't do the red wiggles any good.
Yeah. I put rabbit fur from their
They'll eat
nest
that.
boxes. They
They'll
will.
eat human hair too.
Yeah, they will. I've done small amounts sprinkled over the bed like we sprinkle everything. I don't put whole clumps and I don't put hides in these beds. When I skin out my rabbits, I usually deep compost in the ground. Like I'll dig a little trench, put the hides down in there, put a bunch of composting materials on top, and make it like 2 or 3 foot tall above where I made the trench with the hides in it. So you can't really do that in these types of beds. I'm sure there's somebody that may be successful with it, but we're set up for that here. What about citrus, Pawpaw, or
No.
onions or garlic?
No, you're right. I'm glad you brought that up. No citrus, no onions, no garlic. I'm not saying they won't dissolve it, but living in a bed of garlic just don't sound like fun.
No, it doesn't. Guys, remember that garlic's a great pest deterrent. Onion can be too, but it's just, it doesn't really work well in these types of beds.
You
So,
want this one in there?
yeah, we can. All right, well, thank you guys for watching. Pawpaw Sammy do what he does best, and that is worm forming. And thank you again for coming and watching here at Starkey Farmstead. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. This is 2 days after we reset up these beds. Just want to show you guys. The worms will come to the food that you ground up for them as they're breaking down all of that. All right, so Pawpaw Sammy suggested I put these cups in here full of food to see how many worms migrated to it. So let's take it over here. Remember, I just told you, 2 days after we ran these castings. Let's see what we've got, y'all. Yeah, look at that. Look how many worms made it through me running. Do you see that? Look at those worms. So as usual, Pawpaw Sammy is correct. You gotta bait them. Remember I told you it's black soldier larvae fly. That's all right. Look at that. I would have lost all these worms without these little cups.